Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. And I'm joined here, as always, by the man whose favorite team maybe isn't dead yet, Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing? Fun week here.
We are not dead yet. It was a very fun week. Steve Kornacki said the Patriots have a 21% chance of making the playoffs.
Okay.
I haven't given up hope. I've been celebrating all day.
All
It's
right.
been a good day.
Yes. All right. Well, we have a lot to go over. I know a lot of Raiders fans are going to be here. We'll get to your game after the Sunday game. We always start off with the Sunday game. We also have a new segment. We're going to have our top 5 and bottom 5 winners of the week. So we'll do that at the end of the show. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's just get into it. We'll start things off with Denver taking on Kansas City. And this was kind of not the best game we've seen from the Chiefs. They were slow at times. They were sluggish at times. But it honestly seemed a lot like, really, again, what we talked about. If you can get pressure before, you can have some success. Denver was able to do it a little bit. But at the end of the day, Chiefs are just a much better team. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the thing is like, you say that, but like I don't think that I don't think the Chiefs played really bad. I don't think they were
on
bad.
The brain.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the Chiefs played bad at all. Like, I thought they moved the ball pretty well down the field. I think the two things that killed them were they didn't convert a lot of third downs and they didn't convert in the red zone. That's why the game was really close, because they were getting a bunch of field goals. Like they were 1 of 5 in the red zone, I think. 0 of 4 in the red zone. Okay. So that Kelsey touchdown was just outside the red zone. But even then, like, they got that Kelsey touchdown at the end, and it's like they finally broke through it. And it's like, okay, this is probably over now. Even though it wasn't over at all, it still felt like it was kind of over at that point because it's the Chiefs. I thought their defense was very good. Tyrann Mathieu, I can't talk enough about how good Tyrann Mathieu is and how much I enjoy watching him play football. He's very good. And yeah, I mean, I just thought that it really came down to those last 20 yards for them. I thought they actually played pretty well still.
I thought this wasn't their best game. I thought that, again, largely because of what you said. I think not being able to convert in the red zone, that's something they're typically able to do. I'm not saying that this was terrible either. Obviously, the second half was much better, but they started slow. They weren't able to convert on some of these opportunities. I mean, 22 points against Denver, who has a good defense. It's still, they usually blow out every defense. They didn't play at the Kansas City Chiefs today is really my point. But Denver showed up. They have a defense. We know this. And I think, to me, I'm less interested in this game. You know, Kansas City won. We all expected them to win. Good on Denver for covering a 14-point spread, only losing by 6. But I honestly feel like more of a broad issue is I have a hard time seeing this team. I don't think I can say that this team should be favored over Pittsburgh at this point. We've seen Kansas City too many times be a little bit sluggish on offense, and their defense, when you're playing a good defensive line, can be a problem. And the Steelers have a good defensive line. I know I'm kind of moving away from the game, but is that a crazy take now at this point to say that the undefeated team, it should be favored to win the Super Bowl? Because I kind of am on that side at this point.
I mean, I don't think it's a runaway option that the Chiefs should be a favorite in the AFC. I mean, eventually they make the AFC Championship game. The one thing I want to see the Steelers defensive line without Bud Dupree. I think that's really going to hurt. And they're missing Bud Dupree and Bush at the middle linebacker spot.
Right.
Eventually, could that become a big problem for the Steelers? But at the same time, you know, even if the Steelers are able to generate pass rush with 4, is it enough to stop Mahomes enough? I'm not necessarily sure that they're going to be able to do that. And not only that, this defense has proven that they're able to create. You know, they're not the best defense in the league by any means, but Spagnuolo's done a good job of timing up blitzes, using guys like Sorensen when he needs to, and also creating a bunch of turnovers when the team really needs it. They not only do they have an explosive offense, but they put their offense in great positions to win a lot of football games and score a lot of points when they need to. They have looked sluggish at times throughout the year, but I think the one point where I come back to is, at least for the most part, you know, when they've played teams like the Buccaneers, when they play teams like the Ravens, they've come out guns blazing. That's when they've had their best performances. I think this is a team primed for the playoffs, and I think they're still my favorite to win the Super Bowl. I think that they're that talented, and it's not a hot take, but I would still take them pretty easily over the Steelers right now.
Yeah. Well, he also says Speeds X says you could say the same thing about the Steelers when they almost lost to the Cowboys. Every team has an off day. That's totally fair point. That's a great rebuttal. Yeah, I mean, really what it'll come down to is I think that basically I'm basing this off of, I think if Pittsburgh has the 1 seed, then I think it's different. If they don't, I think that the Chiefs are clearly better. I really think the 1 seed is super important, and I think that could end up being the difference.
It could, but at the same time, without fans, how much of an impact is it going to have?
A lot, because you get the bye week, and that's just that extra rest. I think matters a lot, especially for Pittsburgh, who's they've had to have their schedule all worked around. They didn't get a week without practice. I think them getting a bye week matters a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think regardless, I'm still I think the Chiefs have almost entered the Patriots and Spurs territory where it's like, I almost feel like during this Mahomes, like I might pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl the next 7 years. Like, why would you pick anybody else at this point unless this roster changes drastically? Like, this team is just so talented and it has the most impactful player. Even when he was looking sluggish for the Chiefs, it's just like, oh, Mahomes is going to get this done. He'll find a way to score a touchdown. Did you ever feel like this game was like in doubt? I felt like the Chiefs were going to win this. Yeah, it's the Mahomes factor.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's incredible. I mean, pretty much, yeah. I don't know about, again, who knows where they'll be in 7 years. We thought the same thing about Rodgers and Green Bay. It didn't work out that way. But yeah, he's incredible. The Chiefs are incredible. None of us would be surprised if they win a Super Bowl. But give some credit to Denver. They showed up this game, and Vic Fangio coaching for his job. One thing I want to talk about with Fangio, though, you can't punt the ball on a 4th and 3 with 6 minutes left, down 1 score against Kansas City. You can't do it. You gotta go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You got to find a way to try. If you lose by being aggressive, it's way better than trying to, control a game and control the clock and control field position. You got to be aggressive, especially against a team like this that, them going 3 and out is like virtually a 0%.
Yeah, no, it's not a great decision. But yeah, I mean, still a good win for the Chiefs. I'm not a Chiefs hater. Chiefs are amazing. Let's move on. How about those Las Vegas Raiders? What's the
We're talking about it. The official Las Vegas Raiders pod is here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The unofficial, official Las Vegas Raiders podcast. I mean, I have to say, this was almost a nail in Derek Carr's coffin to some degree. I mean, he was not great in this one. He missed several throws. Towards the end, let's just back up. This was the most dramatic ending to a game I've seen all year. First, the Raiders are right there. They go for it on 4th down. They don't get it, but then a late flag comes in, giving them the 1st down. There's another 4th down. Carr scrambles out. He gets the touchdown, but then that gets called back due to offsetting penalties. They don't convert. All to set up this miracle Hail Mary. It came against the Jets, a now 0-12 team. But still, I mean, what in the world? Wild game.
Yeah, so I actually, the NFL Sunday Ticket app has one big screen, and then it does like 3 small screens. I actually, at the beginning of the day, put this on my big screen because I was like, this has some stink to it. I don't know why. I can't figure out why this is happening, but I have some stink to this game. And I put it there. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching this all transpire. What I did not expect when I said there's some stink to this game was Ty Johnson becoming the next Barry Sanders in the backfield.
Yeah.
I really do think that, when it comes to the exit interviews at the end of the season, John Gruden just has to play this tape to Paul Guenther to explain why he's fired, why he's not coming back this next season, because this was just an abomination. There was just jets open on every play. They couldn't stop the run. Man, this defense is just getting torched all the time. I know they're missing a few guys, but it's the NFL. Everybody's missing guys, especially in December. And it's just an absolutely brutal performance. Darnold is picking them apart at points. But hey, they got the win. They got the win and just a crazy game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first I'm looking. So John Gruden would be showing the tape of why he should get fired.
Why Paul Guenther should get fired.
I see.
Basically, at the end of the season, Paul Guenther comes in and says, "Hey, what did you think?" Gruden says, "Watch this game." Okay, that's why you're not coming back next year.
Gotcha. Understood. Now I'm on the same page. Yeah, I mean, with the exception of Darren Waller, who went completely off in this game, he had 200 receiving yards and a pair of touchdowns. This was an ugly game for Las Vegas, and you can't help but make the parallels to last season. Last season, a very similar thing happened where Las Vegas, then Oakland, They were clear favorites against the Jets. The Jets were better then, obviously, but they get blown out, and the game's over. This was that game. The same thing happened, and then this miracle Hail Mary sent from Greg Williams. And let's get into it because I want to talk about this at all. It's a theory that's out there, so I'm just going to bring it up. Did the Jets throw this one? Was this a tank for Trevor Lawrence coverage?
I don't think Adam Gase is like smart enough in that position to say, "Oh wait, we have to lose. Everybody, screw this up." He's probably thinking about. Listen, I just think that Greg Williams is a psychopath. Honestly, look. So I said this in the offseason. I am a fan of blitzing on Hail Mary situations because just the simple mathematics. If you're blitzing 6 guys on 5 pass protectors, and you have a 6-on-5, your one guy can get to the guy before he throws a 60-yard pass. What I don't like is blitzing 8 guys and sending 3 deep and, blitzing 8 guys trying to get to the quarterback because you're sending 3 guys deep on 5. You have a terrible mismatch advantage. If you blitz 6 guys, then you got 5-on-5 theoretically with pass catchers down the field. If you're going 3-on-5, that's a terrible decision. I don't know who he is, but number 38, biting on the double move play.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
The other Lamar Jackson, yeah.
The other Lamar Jackson biting on the double move for whatever reason. Like, if he gets a 10-yard pass, that's fucking fantastic, man. Henry Ruggs can get a 10-yard pass. Don't let him get the 50-yard pass. Like,
yeah. No,
just a whole lot wrong with that play.
No, I actually, I believe this was cover 0. I believe this was just, they're playing man coverage, but the Raiders had a halfback and tight end blocking on this play, which resulted in the extra 2 players rushing the passer. I believe this was just a straight up cover 0. Yeah, you have to have a safety deep. So I want to talk. I did some research on this because Dan Orlovsky, the Lions guy, Dan Orlovsky, I think his last name is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tweeted out something that this is what Greg Williams always does. But then there was another tweet that said that no team has ever done this, and 250 times has happened since they started recording it. So I went back and did some research with what I could find in all 22. I found 2 Greg Williams situations similar to this. The last one, and I'll play them both for you. The last one was when he was with Cleveland. This is the game against Denver. I'll play this one here. This one is it's a cover 1 play. So this is going to it's a cover 1 blitz. So there still is a safety blitzing. But there is a safety back, and it gets a sack right away. So that worked out. As you see, I mean, they were able to get the sack. That's a good play. Also, but there's still a safety deep. This wasn't just a straight up cover 0. This was cover 1. I also went back and checked. And as you can see, there is, this was when he was with the Rams. This is just straight up prevent defense. This is with Jeff Fisher. I don't know exactly what the situation was, but you'll see a couple plays. These were both just back to back. But this looks like it's a blitz, but there's 3 St. Louis players already in the end zone, and they're able to get the stop. So yeah, I got to be honest here. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know why you do this, but I don't think it was thrown. I legitimately think that this was just what he likes to do, and I think it was an ego thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is Greg Williams in a nutshell. We've known him as this kind of coach before in the past. And like I said, I'm a fan of blitzing on these plays, but you blitz in a specific situation that benefits your team. Blitzing 8 guys with 0 safeties over the top with 9 seconds left in a football game makes no sense whatsoever. There's no reason to think.
Let me play devil's advocate. Because I don't think it's the right call, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. The Raiders had struggled to pick up the blitz this whole game, and we'll get to kind of Fleece's question in a second. The Raiders have struggled with the blitz this whole time. The whole game. I mean, basically every third down, the Jets blitzed, and the Raiders struggled at picking it up. Also, the New York Jets don't necessarily have great corners, and if you really want to give Carr time to throw one up to Darren Waller, who's done nothing but make catches this game, it might not be a great situation. Is there some logic behind just forcing Carr to make a quick throw and make a tough play? And Carr made an incredible throw, and Ruggs made a great route, and Lamar Jackson, for some reason, as you mentioned, bit on a double move.
Well, then it's a great call by Gruden for being able to put those pass protectors in there, put those two extra pass protectors in there on that play. That's a
Yeah.
great call by him then. But at the same time, I mean, like I said, I think you give it to yourself for a tactical advantage, but I'm not having less guys downfield than receivers potentially that are running the route. Like if I'm going to blitz, I'm going 6-on-5 and then 5-on-5 deep. That's the only situation I would do it. I mean, I
That's
understand.
essentially what they did.
But
I
they
mean, it
blitzed
was
more. They had 7, and then they had the delayed blitz because the guy was covering the running back, I believe.
well, no, it was so only 3 receivers ran deep routes, and they all had one-on-one matchups.
Yeah. Well, I still wouldn't put myself in that situation. You have to have a safety over top if you're going to do it.
Yeah, you have to have, and they had a spy on Carr. Just have him be the safety deep. I mean, it makes Kenneth Lee was going to get to this earlier. Gase and Williams wouldn't be allowed to look at T-Law. And that's my thing, is I just think that there's no way that this was intentional, because why would Greg Williams has had the biggest fall from grace, well, I guess second biggest of his career, but the biggest you could imagine in one season, where he starts off as this, like, I thought he was one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. He could have walked into probably 15 teams and said, make me your defensive coordinator, and they'd say, okay. And now he probably doesn't even have a job. Why would he throw this game? It makes 0 sense. And same thing with Gase. These guys want jobs next year. Probably won't get head coaching jobs. Definitely won't. Unless maybe the Lions are going to Lions it up a little bit. But I mean, yeah, I think the management didn't want to win the game, but I can't imagine the people actually calling the plays wanted to lose this game.
Yeah, Greg Williams has no incentive to bring Trevor Lawrence in. So, yeah, I mean, I don't understand it at all. I don't think there was a fix in at all. It just, it was a terrible play call and a terrible execution by the Jets. And like we said, Lamar Jackson biting on that play just made absolutely 0 sense. You give up the 10-yard play every time there.
Yeah, and also one more thing. If they really wanted to throw the game, why would you keep blitzing on third downs when it was working? Just stop doing that. Like there's been a much easier way to throw this game. I don't think they did. But yeah, again, huge win for the Raiders, and they're still in it. You can argue, hey, they just barely beat the Jets, but they're 7-5, and it's better to be 7-5 and not look good doing it than be 6-6 and look good doing it.
Here, I thought the Jets were going to pull through for the Patriots. Unfortunately, the Jets ruin everything.
Yes, and maybe get Trevor Lawrence, which, in fairness, they'll screw it up, so you're fine about that. Let's move on. Let's talk about your Patriots. What a win. I mean, this was... I didn't watch this game. What the hell happened? How did they beat the Chargers 45-0? What happened?
This was the easiest pick'em. I put this down as my lock of the week. So do I get an extra point for that, though, right?
Yes, you get an extra point. You get a point gets deducted because we play golf rules, but yeah.
Yeah, so this was the easiest lock of the week that I probably will ever have on the pick'em. Yeah, I mean, the Chargers are bad. They basically have quit on the season, and it definitely showed in this one. The special teams might be the worst in the league. We made fun of the Titans all the time, but this might be worse.
Yeah, and this is the worst performance. What was it? Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, just the long field goal attempt getting blocked. Multiple bad punt return coverages. I think they had a personal foul also on a special teams play. Like, just egregiously bad performance on that side. And look, Bill Belichick is basically, I don't know if the stat's accurate, but against rookie quarterbacks, Bill Belichick's just, his eyes just light up. It doesn't matter how good the quarterback looks. His eyes are just going to light up every time. He's dominated Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert in back-to-back weeks. And it's just going to continue to happen. You can't beat this guy with a young quarterback. He's going to throw things at these guys that they've never seen before in the league. And they had no answer for it. They shut him down on defense. And they can't stop the run either. The Chargers gave up 165 rushing yards. The Patriots were just dominant in all 3 phases of the game. And that's all that, 45-0. Should have went for the 50 burger, but oh well.
I appreciated how you said, I'm not sure if this stat's accurate, and then said Bill Belichick's eyes light up when he sees a rookie quarterback. I'm not sure that qualifies as a stat, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think Anthony Lynn, this might be his last year. It's from what I, again, didn't watch the game. I'm just going off of what you say. Herbert was in the Gabbert zone. Oh, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Let me ask you this question. Okay, there's a question about the Bucs. We'll get into that in a second. I appreciate the super chat. Let me ask you this question, though. If you were to give a percentage grade, how much of it was New England being good, and how much of it was the Chargers sucking?
Um, Let me think. I don't think this. This Chargers team has played a lot of teams really competitive. I think it was a combination of both, though. I would say it's probably 60% Chargers stinking, and then the Patriots being 40%. I thought this was still their best performance of the season. Like I said, this is probably the first game all year where they dominated all three phases of the game, and they got the punt return for touchdown that wasn't called back this week. And yeah, I mean, I thought the Patriots had their best performance of the year. And, this may also be coupled with the Chargers' worst performance of the year, but they've played a lot of good teams this year and have been competitive in all of them. The Patriots just kind of blitzed them in this one. They went right down the field and scored on their first possession. The special teams looked really good. Unfortunately, it's probably just too little too late for this Patriots team.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get into so they play the Rams on Thursday. They play, which, as you mentioned, they have to fly back to New England and then fly over again to LA. So that's going to be tough. I imagine they scheduled that with the idea in mind that New England would stay in LA because across the entire country for a Thursday night game, that's brutal. They then play Miami and Buffalo, finish the season with the Jets. You're 6-6. You have a chance here. You play the Dolphins again. They have a tiebreaker over the Raiders. Is it possible, or it's too little too late?
I mean, it's possible. Like, if they win out, obviously anything's possible. I mean, that does require us to beat the Rams and the Bills and the Dolphins, who are all, they have two teams ahead of yeah.
It wasn't easy last time. I mean,
So,
you won 3 last time. It's not a crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do think, we play two teams that are ahead of us in the Bills and the Dolphins, so it's not impossible. But at the same time, I feel like they really needed one of the Dolphins or the Raiders to lose. Or, if the Ravens lose this week, that's a possibility also. I just feel like they need to start seeing some teams lose in front of them, which isn't happening very often right now. And that I think it might be too little too late because 10-6 might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll get to the ready super chat now. What's wrong with Tampa? Should Bruce be fired, or is it Tom's fault? I don't think it's either. I think that it's really been a combination of them just not being on the same page. It's partly Bruce's fault, but I also don't think he should be fired. I actually made a video on it that I thought I went into pretty good detail, so you can check that one out on my channel. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens this season. Like, if they're bounced in the first round of the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic and none of this situation on offense gets figured out, really. It'll be interesting to see how those two, what happens this offseason with those two and how they approach that and if there is a change. But as of right now, I think it's just cohesion sort of thing. I think they'll be fine overall. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk. How about Baker Mayfield? This is the best game I've seen from Baker. This was awesome. He was great in this one. And you can say it was the Titans defense, but the Titans defense had looked better previous weeks. Baker Mayfield, I mean, his stat line, he goes over 10 yards per attempt, 334 yards on 33 attempts with 4 touchdowns. All of his touchdowns were in the first half. There's 2 Cleveland Browns who have thrown 4 touchdowns in the first half. Baker Mayfield and Otto Graham in 1950. It's been a very nice 69 years since a Cleveland Brown has done that. This was awesome.
Listen, if you can be compared to Otto Graham, who's probably a top 10 quarterback all time, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Baker was very good in this one. I mean, when he is on, he's actually pretty fun to root for.
Oh,
when he's throwing the ball really well, he goes out there and they had the running play where he's running like 40 yards down the field on a sprint to try and be a lead blocker for it.
Yeah.
He makes an incredible sideline catch. This is probably the biggest Browns win in the last 40 years. Like, this probably clinched them a playoff spot because this was one of their 2 toughest opponents to end the season, and they're able to go in and win this one. 11-5 probably makes the playoffs, and they got the the Giants obviously aren't a sure thing anymore, but they still have the Giants and the Jets on their schedule, plus the 2 AFC North opponents. This is one of their biggest wins because 10-11 wins probably makes the playoffs. 11 wins, I think, definitely does, and they're right there now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw that the graphic that NBC did, where they did this sort of their parody of the election coverage by doing it with NFL teams' chance to make the playoffs, which is very fun. They had Cleveland at a 97% chance to make the playoffs. very cool for Cleveland. You have to feel great about them. And for Baker Mayfield, it's incredible, right? The guy can't stop throwing the ball to the other team. Let's not forget, last year, it all fell apart before it even started, week 1, against this Tennessee Titans team when Baker threw several interceptions, including, I believe, 1 or 2 pick sixes. And that was kind of the beginning of the end already in the Freddie Kitchens era. He hasn't thrown an interception in 5 games. Part of that was the bad weather. He was handing the ball off a lot. But still, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. I thought he was really good in this one. Even with him being really good, we do have to talk about this Titans defense, who, like you said, had been better in the past couple weeks. But even when Baker was missing throws, there was guys do they know that the game extends outside the numbers? Because it seemed like anybody who ran a flat route to the sideline was wide open every time.
Yeah, maybe let's let Vrabel know that. Maybe he not clear on that one.
Yeah, he is a linebacker. Maybe he just thinks everything's in the trenches. So I mean, just unbelievably bad performance from them. It seemed like Austin Hooper could get a catch anytime he needed to. It's I can't say anything more about that. Just a bad performance. When their offense, although it started really slow because the Browns kind of blitzed them, ended up playing pretty well. They had no answer on defense.
Yeah, and first off, if you didn't watch this game, don't let the score deceive you. This was an all-time garbage time performance by Tennessee. An incredible garbage time performance. Put this in the garbage time Hall of Fame. And I'm not trying to put that against them. They were the better team in the second half. I mean, they outscored Cleveland 28-3, a memorable number in the second half. But yeah, I mean, they just got, you can't give up 38 points in the first half. And I think if Tennessee, I'm interested to watch all 22, see exactly what happened. I'm not sure what adjustments were made. But if they played the second half like the whole game, they probably win that game. But they just didn't make the right adjustments. And we've seen this from Tennessee now several times where they sometimes just come out and they just, I bring up the Houston loss last season. We saw the first time they played Indianapolis, when they lost to Cincinnati, when they lose to Cleveland now. There's sometimes they just don't look like a good team. And other times they look like a great, I don't know if it's just they're too reliant on their top 3 guys, Tannehill, Henry, and Brown. Also, Corey Davis had an incredible day. He was the one guy that Titans fans are like, you're cool, everyone else sucks, because he had 182 yards for him. But I mean, they can't keep doing this. And they're 8-4 now, and the playoffs are not locked for Tennessee right now. They have an opportunity to fall out.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of the first game I thought that Derrick Henry did not look good. I felt like he was getting beaten at the line of scrimmage. I felt like, typically even when he's not getting a ton of yards, he's still like falling forward for yards and running guys over for yards. I felt like he was, he got stopped on like a 4th and inches play. He got stopped at the goal line for a play. I just felt like there was a lot of opportunities that he had that he wasn't doing. Typical Derrick Henry things. I didn't think it was his best performance. And, very weirdly, just as we all expected, that when we saw this matchup of the Browns and the Titans, the Browns had 118 yards rushing on 3.3 yards per attempt. The Titans had 62 yards rushing on 3.4 yards per attempt. But then each of them, 340 yards for the air for the Browns, 369 yards for the air for the Titans. Just as we all expected that this was a huge passing performance.
Right. I think I might have said bet the under in this one because of all the running. So I don't know if I did. I didn't personally. So sorry if I led anyone astray. I definitely thought this was going to be a low possession game. Didn't work out that way. But hey, for Cleveland, they're pretty much locked in a playoff spot unless they completely collapse.
Yeah, no, I think that they're going to make it now. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. They did everything they need to. This one, they needed a signature win, and I felt like this was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for them. Let's move on. How about, has he found it? Is he 34 years old? Finally, the New York Football Giants, led by Colt McCoy, beating the Seattle Seahawks. Don't look at the box score. This was all Colt McCoy. He was playing defense the whole time and shut the Seahawks offense down. What a game from Colt McCoy.
What a game from Colt McCoy. Yeah, I mean, what a performance from the Giants defense, though. Unbelievable. Yeah, I saw I have some Seahawks fans on my Twitter and Facebook from when I lived in Seattle in my youth days. And it's like all of them are just screaming. Has like Russell Wilson not seen his own defense before? This Giants defense, though, I thought was just really good. Just all over the place. I forgot Leonard Williams was on their team for a second, and he was awesome in this one. The Giants defense was just incredible.
Yeah, Leonard Williams kind of having a surprise breakout year. I mean, he's played well this year, so give him a lot of credit. Yeah, I mean, Colt McCoy, we'll talk about him for a second because I stand him last week. Did not go under the Blaine Gabbert zone with an even 5.0 yards per attempt. So he's got that going for. Actually, no, he did. I did my math wrong. Just barely in the Blaine Gabbert zone. I mean, he wasn't terrible. He was fine. He's a backup. It is what it is. There was a great moment when Colt McCoy threw a touchdown pass to Alfred Morris, and it's like, what year is this with Colt McCoy throwing a touchdown? But yeah, I mean, this Giants defense is really good, and this is the I believe this is the first win an NFC East team has had against a team that is having a winning record, and this is a big win for them. Their schedule is a bit tough. They play Arizona, Cleveland, and Baltimore, but then they finish with Dallas. If they can just win one of those three, though, and beat Dallas, that's 7-9. That'll probably get you in. So huge win for them.
Yeah, look, I think the thing that we've seen is that every one of these NFC East teams have tough schedules to finish, mainly because they're all lower tier teams, and every team looks like a favorite against them. But at the same time, this team's won 4 in a row. 4 in a row. This defense is playing incredible football right now. This has to be the everybody's pick to win the division at this point. I mean, they've looked pretty good defensively, and with the way teams like Cardinals and Arizona and Baltimore are playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off an upset in one of those games. So playing great football right now when it matters most, I think they're going to win the division.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the problem though is that I mean they clearly have the toughest schedule. I think you can look at the balls. They play San Francisco, Carolina, and Philadelphia. They can maybe pick up 3 wins there and get that 7th win. But then the Giants have the tiebreaker, so they just need one of those first 3. That's all they need, and they might only need one, to be honest. 1 out of 4, big win for them. For Seattle, is this concerning? I mean, you got pretty much completely shut down on offense. Are you concerned, or is this just one of those weird games?
I don't know. Like this, the problem is like, is it just one of those weird games? It's like every Seahawks game is a weird game almost. So it's like, I don't know. This team continues to confuse me because there's times where the defense looks awful. I thought, they're going against a backup quarterback, but the defense looked pretty good in this one. Since they've had the combination of Jamal Adams and Carlos Dunlap together, I thought this defense has actually been pretty good. And you combine that with the offense. The offense has definitely regressed since the start of the season, which was probably expected, but regressing to the point where they're getting 12 points against the Giants. Like, that's unacceptable for a team that's supposed to have an elite offense and might be one of the teams that makes the Super Bowl. This team continues to have so many weird games. I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting them at all in the playoffs.
Yes, we have a Ya Booty Stank in the chat, says Raiders can beat Saints and Chiefs and lose to the Falcons and almost lose to the Jets. Yes, thank you for the super chat, Ya Booty Stank. Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, you know who I thought we're going to do our 5 winners. I didn't have him on the list, but a big winner from this game is Brandon Allen, who played for Cincinnati, who got completely shut down by this Giants defense. Is now saying, see, I don't totally suck. This is a good defense.
Yes. Yeah. So should the Seahawks trade for Brandon Allen is what you're saying?
Yeah. That's what I was clearly.
Russell Wilson for Brandon Allen straight up. Who says no?
I'm not sure how my point got misconstrued to that, but we'll move on. Any final thoughts on this game?
No, I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't know how to feel about the Seattle team. All of a sudden, it's like, I almost feel like the NFL is, just because the NFL is weird, is almost doing the work for us. And we're starting to see who's really the cream of the crop in the NFC. And I'm not sure if Seattle or Arizona is in it right now.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not sure about Arizona, but we'll get to that in a second. Rams currently lead the divisions, so we'll get to them in a second as well. First, let's talk about a team that if the playoffs started today, one of these teams would be in it. And I'm not talking about Jacksonville. Minnesota, listen, you beat Mike Glennon in overtime, but at the same time, you had I think they had 3 of their defensive starters playing in this game. They're completely ravaged in the defense. Although it was actually their offense that got off to a slow start. They were able to find it. Dalvin Cook gets 120 yards on 32 carries. They're really running him into the ground, but he's a big part of their team. Cousins 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. They win the game in overtime. It's an ugly win, but they're 6-6, and that's good enough for a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, look, I almost tweeted out during this game that all it took to cool down Kirk Cousins was to play the Jaguars. He ended up turning it around and doing pretty well at the end of the game. So he started off terribly, and some of the turnovers were just awful plays. But, when you play the Jaguars, you're going to get a few possessions back in yourself. Mike Glennon has just continued to have the weirdest career in the NFL. But, they battled in this one, and it was like, should we throw this game because the Jets are now winning? Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. But Look, the Vikings, it's never been pretty for them. It's kind of ugly a lot of times. But listen, the Vikings are in the playoffs right now. As things stand, they're playing. They've done some good things. Look, I'm just going to say this right now. This is a quarterback-driven league, so he's not going to win. I don't care about these rookie quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson's the rookie of the year. He's the best rookie. He's the most impactful rookie in the NFL right now, mainly because, Justin Herbert, unfortunately, because of his situation, isn't winning. Joe Burrow got hurt. Justin Jefferson is the most impactful rookie right now on the offensive side of the football. He was awesome in this one again. He might be a top 15 receiver in the league in his rookie year.
If I had a vote, the 2 top guys I would give for Offensive Rookie of the Year would both have played in this game, James Robinson and Justin Jefferson. And I agree, Jefferson is should be number 1. That's just not how the voting works. They give it to quarterbacks. We've seen this in the past. I mean, they gave it to Dak Prescott over Ezekiel Elliott. If they're going to they take positional value into account, which I don't think they should, but they do. So I just don't think he'll get it. But I agree. He's been, and he had he had one big play in particular this game that was just unbelievable.
Yeah, he was so good in this one, as he has been for the last 4 or 5 weeks now. Does this Vikings team make the playoffs now? Is this the team you're picking to make the playoffs? You've been very bullish on their bad. Do you think that they still have to play the Buccaneers and the Saints on the road? Does this team find a way to get to 8-8, and is 8-8 good enough to make the playoffs now?
I don't think so. I think someone will go 7-9, whether it's Arizona or San Francisco. I think they will lose. They probably will. I've been completely counting Minnesota out pretty much this entire season. I think it's cool to see them go on this run. They have to beat either Tampa Bay or New Orleans, I think, and I just don't know if they can. On top of that, they're playing Chicago and Detroit. Those are 2 divisional games, which aren't guarantees. So they're going to have to find a way to probably go 3-1 down a tough stretch for them. It's just I think this put themselves too much in a hole early on. You think back to that 1-point loss to Tennessee. That was a huge one. Also, the 1-point loss to Seattle. They needed to do better earlier on in the season. They weren't able to. I think it would take. It's not. I won't say no, definitely, but it would take a lot.
Yeah, I guess if they win one of those games, I feel pretty confident about it because Arizona doesn't have a lot of sure wins in their schedule either, and San Francisco's in the same boat. They do play Washington and Dallas, so they get a couple wins there probably, but not an easy schedule overall, playing a couple NFC West teams. It'll be interesting, but it's so hard. Like, I wouldn't honestly be shocked if 8-8 makes that 7 seed. Just by the way some of these teams are playing, because Arizona has not been good, and maybe it's just enough and they sneak in that way. I think it's kind of, the sacrificial lamb to whoever the 2 seed is in the NFC. But, I do feel like that AFC right now is the stronger division, and that where 10-6 might not make the playoffs in the AFC, I think 8-8 has the potential to make it in the NFC.
Yeah, that's 7th. And let's not forget about San Francisco again, who they play Washington, they play Dallas, and then they have 3 other games, which is Buffalo, Arizona, and Seattle. They win one of those, and that I believe that gets them to 8. But they're not out of it either. So it's interesting. It'll be fun. But you know what? It's fun because for a second it looked like Arizona was going to walk away with it. That's not happening. You know what? Let's just go there. Let's just go to Arizona while we're on the subject. I got to be honest. When I was watching this game, this felt like 2 teams that it didn't feel like Arizona was on LA's level. It felt like this is a championship contending team and a fringe playoff team. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Goff kind of cooked them, and you have no chance against this Rams team. I feel like if Jared Goff's cooking, because when we talk about the Rams, it's like, oh, they're a really good team if Jared Goff performs at his level, which means that they have great players all around him. Basically, if Jared Goff is torching you, then I don't think you have any chance against them. And the Cardinals just did not have any chance in this one. Kyler Murray started 1 of 6 for 59 yards and a touchdown. I don't know. This whole Cardinals team, I continue to say it should be more explosive than what it is. I don't know if it's just a bunch of young players trying to figure it out, combined with, or is it like Kingsbury and what he's calling on the sideline? I think there could be a whole bunch of things that I don't know. I feel like the Cardinals team should be a lot more explosive than what they are on offense sometimes, though.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like Arizona relies a bit on high-end talent. But you know what? Actually, you know whose fault this is that Arizona lost?
Who's that?
This is your fault. It has been your fault that this has been this 3-game skid, in fact, is entirely your fault. And the reason I say that is because I want to take you back to a podcast we did right after the Hail Murray when you had this to say.
So, bold take of the week.
Okay.
The Cardinals might be the best team in the NFC.
That is bold. That is bold. That is very bold. Yes, that was very bold. I'm wearing the same outfit. They've lost 3 straight since you said that. Would you like to apologize to Arizona and all their fans for cursing them?
Yeah, I guess I'll apologize. I'm sorry, Arizona. You were playing great football at the time. I don't know what's happened. It's just I know Kyler kind of got banged up in that Seattle game, and it seems like that might be affecting him these last 2 weeks. Especially just his running game has kind of essentially disappeared these last 2 weeks, and I think that's been a big thing. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's been a big part of it. Kyler's been banged up, but at the same time, if you're relying on one guy to be perfectly healthy throughout the whole year, it's going to cost you in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Cardinals fans, for getting your hopes up.
Yeah, well, and it also seems like Arizona, they need to get at least a few big plays on defense to have a chance. Like they're a top heavy team where they have guys like Budda Baker and Peterson. He's lost a step, but he can still make some big plays. They need these big plays. They didn't get any interceptions. They didn't get any. They got 1 sack this game. Kenneth Lee says Cards are who we thought they were 1 year away, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Is we sort of thought that maybe that wasn't the case when they were able to pull off, but They were 5-7. They're 5-7 if they lose. But again, I don't want to overreact a bit because you look at their schedule. They play the Giants and the Eagles. If they can just pull off those games, beat San Francisco, even if they lose to the Rams, that's 9-7. That'll probably get you in. So while they don't look great, just get into the playoffs. Get Kyler that first playoff game where historically quarterbacks struggle in their first playoff game. Get him that experience. Get a year. Be able to build some more and be ready for next year.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll see what happens with the Cardinals. I still think that they probably make it in as the 7th seed, although I think Minnesota might be able to sneak in. I think that they can make it as a 7th seed and probably will. How fun would that be if they played Green Bay, though? That'd be a great game to start off Wild Card Weekend. So, I mean, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Reminds me of back when the Kurt Warner Cardinals played Green Bay, and what was that? The 51-45 overtime game or whatever. Yeah, and then of course the Rodgers Hail Mary. Those teams always are fun when they play each other in the playoffs.
Hey, you know what? We should just ban Minnesota from making it. The Cardinals make it. Let's just pen it in. It's happening.
Okay, sure, cool. All right, perfect. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about. How about let's talk? You know what? Let's just go to this game. I saw some people in the chat were interested in this. I don't really care about the game that much, to be honest, but I just find it interesting. Jalen Hurts. Honestly, this offense looked better with Jalen Hurts out there. Hurts had 3 less attempts and had 30 more passing yards. He had 109 yards and 12 attempts. Wentz 79 yards. Wentz has been benched now. This is not unprecedented to see a quarterback with this big of a contract currently getting benched.
Yeah, I mean, it seems kind of over for him now at that team, right? Um,
Well, he's stuck there. I mean, he might be a backup, but he's stuck. They paid him. I mean, they can't get unless someone's going to take on the contract.
Someone's going to trade for him. I think
You think
someone's still
so?
going to. Yeah, I think someone's going to trade for him. There's teams that don't have. I think that there's. Uh, I think that there's teams jumping in that are quarterback needy throughout the NFL. I think there are a lot of teams that are going to need quarterbacks or quarterback options for the future. I think there is going to be a team that jumps in on this and tries to fix whatever's happened to Wentz. He just seems like he's lost a ton of confidence. So I think that, yeah, I think that they're pretty much. I think he's done there. I think that he's going to get an opportunity elsewhere in the future. But yeah, Hurts. I thought actually looked pretty good. Obviously, he threw the interception, but I thought he made some good throws. You know, he got the touchdown, and he definitely seems a lot more confident back there than Wentz does.
Yeah. I want to stick with the Wentz contract thing for a second because I just looked it up. I mean, he's getting paid $34 million next year. After that, they can cut him for a $24 million dead cap. And if they don't, he's making 31, 36, and 32 million for the next 3 years. That's tough. That's a tough contract, and that could easily end up being one of the worst contracts ever if he doesn't turn it around, which I think at this point they've kind of given up on. But yeah, on the flip side, Jalen Hurts looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, one more thing about the Wentz thing. We just said last March when we did our quarterback rankings, I think we had Wentz ninth. And that's mainly because I love Dak Prescott so much that I picked him eighth, that he ended up ninth. So Wentz ended up our ninth best quarterback in football. I think he had over 4,000 yards without a single receiver topping 500. So I think there is someone who's going to say, you know what, maybe we take this guy and he turns back into that top 10 quarterback. But at the same time, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Hurts is, he kind of looked like how he did at Oklahoma. He's athletic. He makes a lot of plays with his legs, and he can do that a lot. If he becomes more accurate at the football, he could be a very good quarterback in the league. That's still to be determined, though, for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, and part of it makes you wonder for Jalen Hurts or for Doug Peterson, Hurts kind of got him back in this game. And much like in this game where it was too little too late, maybe in this season it's too little too late. And for Doug Peterson, this could be a decision he always regrets of not pulling the plug quicker when they had really a few winnable games back to back. If Hurts was in there earlier, maybe this is different. And maybe Philadelphia makes the playoffs because you have to think if they don't make the playoffs, this is done for Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, he might be done because I don't think this team's making the playoffs right now. I know they have the tie. That could be a potential tiebreaker, but with the way the Giants are playing and the way they're playing, I don't see any situation where this team's making up a game and a half. They have the Saints and the Cardinals, and then they have two winnable games after that in NFC East opponents. But how do you see this team beating the Saints or the Cardinals right now with the way they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts will have to be great. I mean, that's really what it's going to have to come down to. You're relying on a second-round rookie to save your season. But listen, they relied on Nick Foles to save their season before and won a Super Bowl out of it. So stranger things have happened, but seems unlikely. Let's go to the other side now. Aaron Rodgers, as much as we want to put Patrick Mahomes as the MVP, Aaron Rodgers is making it a close race. Either one of those guys could be there. We also saw a great game-sealing Aaron Jones touchdown run. Yes, it was against Philadelphia, but their offense played pretty well against a good defense, and their defense forced what we thought was a franchise quarterback at the beginning of the season to a bench role. I mean, you'll take this.
Yeah, look, I mean, it sounds weird, but I feel like as we were talking about Arizona the last game, this team almost feels like the more experienced, better version of Arizona, where Arizona kind of relies on three guys for their offense to cook. I feel like this Green Bay team, they kind of stagnated early, and then it was like Adams caught a touchdown, and it's like, oh wait, we're the Green Bay Packers, we're fine. Then all of a sudden it's like Rodgers having a big game, Adams having a big game, Aaron Jones whips off a big run, and he's having a big game. And it's like, all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers are fine. It's I think that these secondary receivers are kind of underrated because everyone just says, oh, they should have drafted a receiver all the time. That I don't think Lazard and Valdez-Scantling are terrible by any means. Obviously, if they drafted Justin Jefferson, that would have helped. Yeah. But, they're serviceable football players, but at the same time, this offense kind of rolls when Rodgers, Jones, and Adams are rolling. And Adams is just fantastic. He made so many catches today. He caught one like against his thigh that got him down to the 1 yard line, and he ended up catching the touchdown from the 1 yard line. That was insane. And then he caught another one that was in like double coverage that he caught over his shoulder in double coverage. It was just unreal. He makes so many difficult catches.
Yeah, I mean he is that guy for Green Bay, and I agree with what you're saying. Lazard and Valdez-Scantling didn't have a great day today, but they do have guys that can operate. I still think they should have used their draft capital to get players that would help them instead of just getting a backup quarterback. That being said, yeah, I mean good win for them, and they're looking good. They have an opportunity to they need a Saints loss, but they still do have that opportunity to get the number 1 seed. But for now, they're the number 2 seed. Let's move on. Let's talk about a team that got a big win. The Indianapolis Colts. They are able to. They get lucky at the end where it looked like the Texans had a shot to take the lead. Deshaun Watson fumbles the snap, and then it looked like it was a weird thing where the snap was short, and then he kind of didn't realize where it went and sort of ran away from the ball where he could have had an opportunity to just fall on it. And we know they're not tanking. They don't have their picks. But another one of these, hey, something fluky with Indianapolis' way, but at a certain point, you're making your own luck. A win is a win for Indianapolis.
Yeah, look, and they got the safety too, which really helped at the end there. I mean, Deshaun has been really good these last few weeks, and just making him almost mortal was a huge win for this Indianapolis defense that's continued to be really good. Kenny Moore came up with the pick in this one, and this defense just makes plays. They get the safety, they get an interception, they get the fumble recovery when they need to. This defense just makes a ton of plays. They're just so impressive. I can't talk enough about this defense and their performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is they're a team of playmakers. They are a team that takes advantage of the opportunities in front of them on defense. And they've been doing this all season where I keep sort of saying, like, those things can be fluky. We don't know how much it is. But at a certain point, it's not luck if you do it every game. And they're doing a really good job at doing it every game. And how about Phillip Rivers, too? I mean, this is the Colts team that you thought you were hoping they could be at the beginning of the season when you picked them to make the playoffs. Again, they're a team that's playing well, and they're currently tied for the division lead with the Tennessee loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think they played really good football, like you said, and a lot of this team does come down to Phillip Rivers not making mistakes, but he hasn't made a lot of mistakes in a lot of the past few weeks, and that's really helped the team. DeForest Buckner coming back was huge. He's so impactful to this team. I've said my DeForest Buckner piece of how good he is. And this Texans team is very weird.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is, he might as well just do everything for this team. But look, it's like just speaking on Bill O'Brien one more time, may his coaching career rest in peace. But Kike Couturier, I think I said that right, has 8 catches for 141 yards today. And it's like Bill O'Brien refused to play the guy. Texans fan would say that Couturier is in the doghouse and he just refuses to play him. Cutie? Well, I'm not calling him that. Okay. I'll call him Kiki then. Kiki,
okay. I could be wrong.
Bill O'Brien just refused to play him. And, you had Texans fans saying that he was in O'Brien's doghouse. And he comes out and just makes plays after play for this. Plays for this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, this has been it's been a bad season for Houston, but it's been a good end to it where they're able to at least sort of feel a little bit competent. And I do think if you're a head coach, it's not an ideal situation because there's no draft picks next year, but you at least do have something there. It's a head coach will be happy about taking a Texans job, although maybe not. You might not be able to get Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is going to be a job that's ended up going to be desirable because you have the most important piece. We've said this week after week. Having Deshaun Watson means something. He's played like a top 5 quarterback this season, even though he's on a bad team. I think he has played like a top 5 quarterback this year.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. This is the game. Everyone was freaking out. The Saints are going to lose to the Falcons. No, the Saints are a better team. Atlanta got lucky to be within one Hail Mary. This was the Saints are better.
Yeah. listen, I mean,
You had
I
a
was
horrible
one of those
take.
people who picked the
Terrible.
upset.
Hmm.
Let's if Matt Ryan's going to be outplayed for 3 quarters to Taysom Hill, then you're going to lose the game.
Well,
It's that
because Taysom Hill was playing against the Falcons defense and Matt Ryan's playing against the Saints defense.
Yeah, no, I agree. But at the same time, so I do want to talk one thing about Taysom Hill. He has to be
Okay.
the worst ball carrier I've ever seen in my entire life. This guy fumbles literally every game.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah. No, it's a
for
problem. It
for a
is.
guy who's like a tight end running quarterback sort of thing, you think he'd have figured this out by now at age 45 as a quarterback. This guy cannot hang on to a football, and it almost cost him in this one.
Yeah, no, it's a very fair point. And you can criticize the Saints offense because 21 points, you'd like to see them do better. They scored exactly one touchdown in the first 3 quarters, nothing in the fourth. They gave Atlanta a chance to get back in it. And clearly there is no quarterback controversy of who should be the number one quarterback. They need Breeze. Hill's not a disaster. He's a good backup, but it's hard to see him as much better than that. Again, maybe he can grow as a player. Yes, he is 30, but this is his first time really getting actual quarterback snaps. But how about Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas is back. He had 100 yards today. Good for him.
Yeah, he had a good game, and Alvin Kamara, who had kind of regressed during the Taysom Hill takeover, had a big game in this one too, getting the opening touchdown as well. Good performances from the Saints superstars, especially on that defense. Demario Davis, it felt like, was kind of everywhere, and he made a lot of big plays for this team. Younghoe Koo is also the best kicker in the game.
Yeah, what the hell? How does this guy all of a sudden... Remember when he was with the Chargers and he was missing kicks left and right? Granted, everyone misses kicks when they're playing for the Chargers, but now all of a sudden he's like God if God decided to be an NFL kicker.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think he leads the NFL in points scored right now. He's just tearing it up.
Yeah, he does. I heard that. Yeah, and he keeps making these onside kicks too. I don't understand. Younghoe Koo, don't pronounce it how it's spelled. Yeah, incredible. And Julio Jones coming back. He made a lot. He means a lot to this offense. Oh, really, Jackson? One of the best receivers in the league, means a lot to an offense. Great insight by you.
Yeah. I mean, but there was a lot of receivers that had pretty good games for this team. It's just, Matt Ryan missed a bunch of throws. I didn't think he was very good in this one. You can give credit to the Saints defense, but I also thought he missed throws and wasn't to the level that he should be. And that's probably why he's not going to be on this team next year.
Wow. Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, we'll see what the new head coach does. Also, I like this comment of all caps. Jason Sanders is the best kicker. I love that.
We should, they really need like an Adam Vinatieri award for the best kicker / punter in the NFL, and just be like a kicking punting MVP. That's what they need, rather than all pro.
Why?
Because that it's fun. Why can't we have fun?
Fair enough. Let me see. Remember the Raiders in memory of Naren Ball. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. All right. Any final thoughts on this? I mean, Saints are really good. Falcons are okay.
Yeah. No.
All right.
That just about covers it. This defense is impressive, and it might take them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 games left. Lions, Bears, and Bengals, Dolphins. Which one do you want to do first?
We can talk about let's save the Bears for last. We can talk about the Bears last.
Okay. Let's talk about Bengals. Honestly, the only thing that I'm really interested in talking about in this game is the fights that happened, because this was just such an ugly game. I mean, so did you see everything that happened before all the
No,
commotion?
I saw the fallout. So what exactly happened with this?
Yeah, so I'll do my best to try and verbally explain it. So it was a chippy game back and forth. Xavier Howard and I think it might have been Tyler Boyd. I forget who the receiver was, but a receiver got into sort of a shoving match, and they both got ejected. It seemed like kind of weak ejections, but they got ejected. There was also a Miami player earlier on in the game. He had a very late hit on a quarterback, which got a flag. So it was already chippy. And then Mike Thomas, who deserves to be killed for his performance, not literally killed, but figuratively killed for his performance, maybe literally killed, depending on how far you want to go. Okay, literally killed, because he had multiple, when he was a gunner on special teams, and first he has this just brutal hit on Noah something last name. He's the rookie that has a very hard to pronounce last name, and that was it knocked him out of the game, or I believe it knocked him out of the game. It was a hit on the kick return when the guy didn't have the ball, a punt return when the guy didn't have the ball, so got flagged. Then it happens again on the very next punt with a different returner out there. That starts this whole scuffle. Brian Flores is getting into it. He was the first guy to leave the bench and start yelling. This leads to Devontae Parker. And I'm not sure. I didn't catch the number on the Cincinnati player, but a Cincinnati player sort of did like the open hand shove to Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker retaliated with a couple of swings, one of which hit a Bengals coach. So it looks I think Parker will probably be suspended for at least some time, which is not what you want when you play Kansas City next week for Miami. This was just an ugly game. And for Cincinnati, who cares? You suck anyways. But for Miami, they might have some suspensions to deal with when they're playing a really good team next week.
Yeah, well, that's fun. No, I mean, that's a tough break, especially when it seems like Cincinnati's instigating a lot of that. The only two takeaways from this game that I correctly predicted Xavier Howard's getting an interception in this game because he got an interception. And my boy, Kyle Van Noy, was freaking awesome in this game. What do you have? I was just looking at this. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, a pass deflection, and 3 more quarterback hits. Kyle Van Noy coming through, my guy from New England. Love to see him doing successful. And yeah, Xavier Howard got a pick. I correctly predicted that on Wednesday.
That was, and he only played for a quarter and a half. So you really nailed that one. I saw that one. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, I do think though. Can we talk about this decision by Flores to go out and sort of get? I know the game's more important than the fight, but I think the fight's more fun to talk about. Flores going out there and sort of initiating a lot of this, and I don't know if I love that because that directly led to he goes out there, that got Parker amped up, that led to the altercation that's going to get Devontae Parker suspended. You're losing your best player now. I get you want to stand up for your players, but you do have to at a certain point make sure your players aren't going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Like, look, you got to defend your players. I think that's important. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people on that Miami sideline, a lot of players included, that watched Flores doing stuff like that and was like, wow, I can't wait to run through a wall for this head coach. This is the kind of guy I want to play for. But at the same time, the coach is also supposed to be the person of discipline and supposed to be the one that's keeping the team in line through it all. It's so hard to judge. I think there is a fine line between it. Maybe he probably should have cooled off on a lot of it. But if you guys are just going to get taken shots against, there's something that you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Thomas was the absolute guy who deserves to, again, he deserves to be killed. Execute Mike Thomas. But just joking, in case anyone, law enforcement is watching this, complete joke. Don't actually mean that we want him to die. But yeah, really, I think after I said that, I kind of thought no, let's blame Devontae Parker for throwing punches and hitting a coach and getting himself probably suspended. Maybe not blame the head coach. Yeah,
no,
he's an adult. He should know not to do that.
Yep, punching is bad, folks.
Yeah, the one thing, Tua played really well. Tua looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Bengals, so take it with a grain of salt. But he came back and had a good game. He had struggled his last couple of weeks that he played. Yeah,
and all right, we'll move on. Again, kind of an ugly game, but I honestly couldn't care less about Cincinnati. I just have to be honest. Without Joe Burrow, the only interesting thing they're doing now is getting into fights.
Yes, yeah, the Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean they were officially eliminated from the playoffs today. I did see that.
Okay, there you go. Well, we'll move on. Yeah, get off of that. The ugly stuff there. The Detroit Lions, you gave me a Bears game, and I didn't take them. And I chose the Detroit Lions, and they almost lost, but they won because of a lot of reasons. What was your thoughts on this wild ending to this one?
Oh, man. I mean, if this defense isn't playing well, they have no shot. Even though the mayor of Detroit, Mitch Trubisky, actually played pretty well in this one, it still was like the Lions are moving the ball. They're going to go down and score. Has this defense essentially just quit on this offense?
Well, I mean, I think losing Akeem Hicks hurts. I mean, he is a big part of that defense. I mean, we can't understate that. They're banged up. And, I mean, we can say Mitch Trubisky played well, but he also fumbled the ball at the end there, which directly led to the Lions taking the lead. And he nearly had to come back when he gets it to Allen Robinson, who doesn't know where he is on the field and steps out of bounds a yard short of the first down marker. I mean, he has to know better than that. He has to try and pick this up. It was one of those weird games, but I think at the end of the day, these are also kind of two teams that who cares a little bit. But also Adrian Peterson, he had a couple touchdowns, not a big yards per carry, but one of his touchdowns was awesome. The one that took the lead where he ran over Roquan Smith. That's not an easy guy to run over. Yeah. It was a fun game. Doesn't really matter. But Matt Stafford, really just shutting everybody up who says that this is his fault. I mean, 402 yards on 42 attempts, 3 touchdowns, did have a pick, but he was huge in this comeback. Matt Stafford's awesome.
Yeah, look, this is the kind of game I'd point to and say this Lions job can be really good. Like, this can be a really good football team with the right coaching staff in place. This team has talent on their side that can win a lot of football games. Matt Stafford is a good quarterback. They just need better coaching around them, which is something I feel like Stafford's needed his entire career. So, they probably won't get it, but at the same time, I think this should be a desirable job.
Yeah. Also, Izzy let me know Hicks was playing, and I looked at it. He is bad on me. I watched that game too. I don't know how I missed that, but yeah, Hicks was playing. They still didn't do this. Not good for Chicago, but they don't care. The season's over for them, even though it really isn't, because if they won, they're 6-6. That'd be tied for a playoff spot. What a fall from grace for Chicago. They were 5-1.
6 in a row. Unreal. 6 losses in a row. Oh my God! These two teams have the same record.
Great. Do you fire Matt Nagy now?
I mean, I still think he's going to last the season, but I don't think he makes it past this offseason.
Here's my pitch. Let me pitch. Okay, well, you play Houston next week. Maybe you can get that win, and then you fire Matt Nagy because teams do very well the first game with an interim head coach. You play Minnesota. Maybe you can pick up that win. They play Jacksonville, get 3 in a row, and then probably lose the Packers. Yeah, they're done. It was even in my hypothetical, it wasn't working.
The thing is like, unless things are just completely awful in the locker room, there's really no incentive to hire a head coach in the NFL before the offseason. Like, it makes perfect sense in college because you want to get ahead of recruiting, and a lot of teams do end up doing it, where you fire a coach in college so you can get ahead on recruiting, which starts in December. But it's not quite the same in the NFL. I mean, there's really no incentive to fire him at this point, where you're, after all of this, after losing 6 games in a row, the Chicago Bears are a game out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, unreal. They had it. I mean, yeah. I also like this comment. Bring back John Fox. That's a good decision, right?
Yeah, bring back.
We need more.
Adam Gase can be his offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know what? John Fox, underrated, horrible head coach. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Everyone talks about Jeff Fisher and Adam Gase. John Fox was also up there. He was great.
2 guys that probably shouldn't have made Super Bowls. That's basically
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the point. All right. Well, hey, good for the Lions. Get that win. Doesn't really matter too much.
That's a good point. I'm gonna have to explain to my future kids one day that Jake Delhomme and John Fox made a Super Bowl. How do I do that?
I don't know. The tough conversation every parent has to have with their child. All right, final segment of the week. We're gonna go. I have a top 5. Kyle has a bottom 5. I'll do my top 5 first, and then we'll have you do your bottom 5. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so my top 5. Number 5, I have Joe Judge. Joe Judge. Now, a lot of people are very high on Joe Judge after he turns a team that was. And you know what? Maybe this is. Here's a little tip. For all of you future head coaches out there watching this video, your first season, start off 0-8. Throw the first 8 games, then start winning. The turnaround is what people are going to look towards. That guarantees you like 3 years. Joe Judge, number 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's done an incredible job. There's a lot of mocking him for basically being a position coach for not a very good position for the Patriots. Mm-hmm. But he's proven to be the guy who was the young hotshot coach that everybody kind of wanted, because he's been really great, and it seems like his team really loves playing for him.
Yes. Number 4, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They get their win. On top of this, the Houston Texans lose, the Tennessee Titans lose, and while the Jaguars lost, so did the Jets. So Trevor Lawrence still not in the hands of Jacksonville. Everything in their division goes right this week.
Yeah. Colts are, can they win the division? It's going to be interesting. Can they pass Tennessee and end up holding on to that spot?
Yeah, number 3, I have Baker Mayfield. We talked about it a bit. He had an incredible day. He deserves to be on this list. Great job for him. Number 2, I have a team that lost, the New York Jets, staying in that number 1 Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. I looked over at the Jets subreddit. They are ecstatic about this last step. They are more happy about this game than Raiders fans are.
Yeah, I don't get it. The Jets fans are all excited about this, but if Trevor Lawrence goes to the Jets, he's going to be out of the league in 5 years. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, no, it'll be a disaster. Number 1, I got to give it to Derek Carr. I mean, the last play at the end completely. I mean, he would have been killed if he didn't. Again, not literally. If I mean, people love to hate on Derek Carr. Now imagine he loses to a winless team, and it is his fault. Like that last play that saved him.
Yeah. I mean, it was ugly at times, but hey, the Raiders pulled it out, and all that matters is you got the win. So
yeah, and a couple honorable mentions: Jalen Hurts, the New England Patriots, of course, for their dominant win, and Matt Stafford just missed the cut. Now it's your turn. Who do you have for the bottom 5 of the week?
All right, for number 5, I had the Tennessee Titans pass defense. We kind of talked about it in the conversation. You can defend outside the numbers. That is allowed. So when a guy is standing near the sideline wide open, you're supposed to cover him. Just so they remember for the future weeks.
Yes.
Do you have any comments about the Titans pass defense?
Not really. I know, but I do know. I'm pretty sure everyone on the Titans big fans of the On the Sideline podcast. So now they know it'll be a solid from here on out.
Yeah, so there we go. I know they've been missing Adoree Jackson, I think, virtually the entire season, unless I'm missing a couple games. But at the same time, if one cornerback's going to change your entire defense around, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Number 4, the Bears. We talked about this, 6 losses in a row. This just keeps getting funnier and funnier because now the offense finally played well, but the defense seems to have just about quit on the season. The Bears are now 5-7. And have been jumped by their rivals, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and much like the Cardinals losing 3 straight is your fault, I think the Bears losing 6 straight is my fault. Right after I make the video saying the Bears are good, they go 0-6. So that's on me. I apologize to Bears fans.
Yep. Number 3, I have a little bit of an NFL rule here that I have in my bottom 5. So I saw this at the end of the Falcons-Saints game when it was 21-16. Taysom Hill runs towards the sideline. I talked a little bit about how bad he is at carrying the football. He fumbles the ball and it rolls out of bounds. Now, the weird thing about this play, which I did not realize was a rule, which I guess a little bit makes sense because a leading team could essentially just fumble out of bounds. But the clock keeps running when the fumble rolls out of bounds. And Atlanta had to burn their last timeout, which essentially turned the game from they could have got the stop on 3rd down and had like a minute 20 left in the game to essentially they had 35 seconds left in the game by the time they got the ball back. I think that's stupid. I think that if a fumble rolls out of bounds, the clock should stop like a player runs out of bounds. I did not understand that rule, and it would have made for a more fun ending if Atlanta had a little more time to try and get down there and score.
I mean, whatever.
So that's my number 3.
Who cares? Yeah.
If they had won the game, that would have been huge.
It could go either way. You could argue. I don't. Who cares?
So, that's still my number 3.
Horrible number 3. Terrible job by you.
Wow. Okay. Number 2, Chargers special teams. This was just egregious. Like,
surprised this is only number 2.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that. Well, we've already talked about number 1, but number 2 is just multiple bad punt returns, penalties, missed field goals, blocked field goals. Nothing went right for the special teams besides making extra points. Just an awful performance from them. And listen, how many points? Like, if you were if you were there to make Vegas money lines, or Vegas betting lines, how many points would you sway based on the matchup? If there were 2 even teams and it was Bill Belichick against Anthony Lynn, what would your point total be?
After this, 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that'd be almost 2 or 3 points at this point just by coaching. Bad job by the Chargers special teams. And then number 1, you mentioned Derek Carr as your number 1. Greg Williams is my number 1 for the bottom 5.
A good one.
Just, an awful performance to end this game. Terrible job by him. You end up number 1 as my bottom 5, Greg Williams. Congratulations.
Yes. Okay. Congratulations to Greg Williams. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy, Greg Williams.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our new segment. Let us know in the comments if you were a fan or not. Actually, just tell us if you're a fan. You don't have to tell us if you're not. We don't need negative comments.
Positive vibes here at the #FunShow.
Yes, exactly. I thought all 5 of mine were great. 4 out of your 5 were fantastic as well. Incredible show, mostly from me.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, good job by you.
And I went perfect on my picks this week. I'm on fire. You're lucky to have me.
Did you have your lock of the week already?
I did. I had the New Orleans Saints with a 2.5 point spread, 2.5 or 3.5, but either way, I don't miss.
Oh boy!
Just when you thought
you just tied me, so congratulations.
Well, hey, we still got time left. You have Buffalo and Baltimore. I have Pittsburgh. I could end up in the lead by Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident that Baltimore is going to win that. I'll eat something weird if the Dallas Cowboys end up winning that game. I'll eat some dog food on the next show.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
You said you can't now. Kyle will eat dog food. I don't know why I continue to run this show for another couple minutes, but I'm glad I did. If Dallas wins, Kyle will eat dog food on air. So get ready for that. But yeah, that's our show, everyone. Thank you for checking it out. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who's watching live or who's watching after the fact. Always appreciated. And Kyle, before we go, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can also read some stuff. I've been off the podcast for a few weeks, but I'm going to get back to it soon. Just gearing up for NBA season at GuyBostonSports.com. Talk some Boston sports, some Patriots. I got a big project coming up for any NBA fans. You can check out my Twitter @ByKyleGrondin. If you want to check it out then. Big NBA stuff coming up, so make sure to check it out there. GuyBostonSports.com.
Yes, and make sure you tune in next week, Wednesday at 9. If Dallas wins, Kyle will eat dog food. I'll make that the thumbnail if Dallas wins. Exciting time. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.